Hello, my name is Natasha, aka Natasha1803, aka NaTravels, and today I'm going to be sharing with you 10 of my travel tips. So if you don't know me, I love traveling. I study international relations and Latin American studies, and I'm just super into seeing new things, experiencing new cultures, getting out there, meeting new people, and I have been able to travel quite a bit. Since I was little, I moved around a lot, and recently I've been going on quite a few trips, and I thought I'd share some of my tips with you because I get a lot of questions from friends or people who know I travel a lot asking how do you do it being in college. So I actually wrote down 10 tips, and I have it in this little notebook. I actually got this in Barcelona a year ago, and also not good at editing videos either, so this probably will look pretty amateur, but it's the content that matters, right? So my first tip is to sign up for a travel credit card, and I know it's not really the best thing for a college student to do is to sign up for a travel credit card, but if you're responsible with it, and you either have a part-time job or you have a way of paying your bills, make sure you pay your credit card bills on time. I cannot stress that enough because I got things mixed up and whatever, and I got it fixed and everything, but it wasn't a problem in the end. But yeah, you can get in trouble if you don't pay your credit card bills on time. But what I did was, because I kind of work part-time and I'm pretty much financially responsible for myself, so I signed up for a travel credit card, and with the card that I signed up for, I got 50,000 bonus points just for signing up. And there's a trip I wanted to go on. This was a few months ago, and I actually wanted to go to Brazil with my friends, and I ended up going. And so yeah, I signed up for this card. The 50,000 bonus points transferred into around $750 in air miles. So I basically paid for my flight there with those air miles, which was awesome. And then whenever you spend money with your credit card, you're earning points towards air miles or accommodations and whatever. So basically, I was spending money scanning my debit card every time I was spending money, but now I'm using my credit card, paying it off on time, and I'm earning points. So that's a really good way to finance your trips or earn extra points here and there to pay for your trips if you're on kind of a budget or if you're just looking for ways to basically earn some free money. But you do have to be very careful with credit cards, especially when you're a 21-year-old girl who likes to go shopping, but that's another story. So my second tip number 2, is going to be this website, which many of you have probably heard of. It's called Scott's Cheap Flights, and basically it's this website that has an algorithm, and they just scan the internet for flights. I think this is how it works. They scan the internet for flights and all these deals, and they send you emails basically every day saying, an alert saying flights from these cities to this city are this much money, let's say $400 plus baggage fees or no baggage fees or whatever. And then you go to the email and it says how long the deal will probably last and how to book it and everything. So basically you don't book through the website, but they tell you what deals are going on. So if you are spontaneously wanting to go on a trip but you don't know where, but you have a certain amount of time, this is a great option for you because you basically just look at the email, and it'll say flights to Singapore. Like today I saw one, it was flights to Singapore from the US, $500, no baggage fees. So you can book it and you can go to Singapore, which is super cool. Or if you have your eye out on a trip that you're planning and you're needing to book your flight, just keep your eye out for the city or a close destination, close city that you're going to. If you're going to Spain and they have flights from the US to Madrid, but you're going to I don't know, southern Spain, like Sevilla or Granada or whatever, you can book your flight to Madrid and then easily get to that other city. But that's a really good option too. And then my third tip, this came in handy last year when I was studying abroad in Europe, are budget airlines. So a big budget airline in Europe is Ryanair, which I'm sure everyone who's backpacked through Europe or studied abroad knows about. But these flights are super cheap. Mostly the people that fly on them are like budget travelers, students, whatever. But even if I wasn't a budget traveler, I would fly on them because you can literally book flights for 10 euros. Like, I booked my flight from Madrid to Brussels, Belgium for 16 euros. And the downside to these airlines is, like, you do have to pay extra for baggage, and every little thing, like, has a fee. Like, you have to print your boarding pass before going to the airport, and if you don't, it's like 40 euros, which is actually kind of insane considering that the flights are usually like 30 euros. So it's like you have to pay more if you don't print your boarding pass than like your actual flight costs. So watch out for those little things, but definitely look out for budget airlines. And even in the US, like, I flew to Florida in November on this new airline called Allegiant that just does flights from Texas to Florida, I think. And my flight was super cheap. It was like $70. So that's another really good option for flying cheap. And then my fourth tip is to consider people as generally good. And by that I mean, if you're traveling, and like I used to, or sometimes I still do, but when I was studying abroad, I traveled by myself for quite a bit. And I would just book my flight to a city and kind of explore on my own and meet people at hostels and whatever. But what I'm saying is, people, when you're by yourself and you're in an unfamiliar city and you are either lost or you're looking for a good restaurant to eat at, or you are trying to find something to do, don't be afraid to ask strangers for help or for recommendations or whatever, because usually, like, it's the locals who are really familiar with what is good in an area, where not to go, where to go, how to get around, and all of that. And I found that I've stopped plenty of people on the street just like being like, hey, how do I get to this place? Or hey, do you know a good restaurant to eat around here? And I've gotten so much help, made friends by doing it. People actually are like, oh, let me show you around, like, how long are you here for? And all of that. So just remember, like, when you're traveling, especially by yourself, like, don't be afraid of people. I mean, of course, use your judgment. Like, don't go to, like, people who look sketchy or seem like they would be malicious towards you. But for the most part, ask people questions. Like, people are more than happy to help, and it's a really good way to make friends and experience, like, the local culture of a city or country. My fifth tip kind of goes along with my fourth tip. It's to make friends. So if you're backpacking by yourself or with a friend and you're like staying in hostels, talk to people, go to the happy hour, go to the events they have. Like, hostels usually have like a bar or events, like activities, excursions, or like community dinners or things like that. Don't be afraid to go and meet people and go on the bar crawl and whatever. And maybe like it's a little like touristy, or you're meeting people, but you're usually meeting more travelers. But you can like go to that for a day or a couple of those things, and then maybe the next day you can venture out on your own, or go out with your friend and try and experience the local traditions, like activities, I don't know, whatever the local people do. But yeah, make friends, because another thing is excuse me, but another thing that's important about making friends is then you have these friends for, depending on how close you guys become in like the day or 2 or 3 or 4, however long you're with them, but they're usually not from the city or from back home. They're usually from another city or a different country maybe, but so many people that I met when I'm traveling, I've become really good friends with, and we keep in touch, even though they may live in Australia or Europe or South America or wherever, but we keep in touch. And I found that in other locations, like I may be going to a different country, like when I was in Brazil like a month ago, I ended up running into people that I knew from Europe or I met them through friends I met in Europe and they were mutual friends or whatever. You can always find ties to people in the places you're going to if you travel enough, or if you go out and make friends and just be friendly. Like, it's not that difficult for some people, I guess. But yeah, so try and make friends, try and talk to people, be social, and it'll help you in the long run. And maybe if they come and visit wherever you're from, the city you're in, you can show them around, or they can stay with you, or you can stay with them, or vice versa. It all works out in the end. My sixth one is to take pictures, and I'm that annoying person that's always like, let's take pictures, can you take a picture of me, can I take a picture of you, blah, blah, whatever. Yeah, I find it really important, for me at least. Like, I love looking back at old pictures, especially videos. So like when I was in Brazil, like a month ago, I was trying to vlog my trip, and I vlogged basically the whole time, which was 3 weeks. Still trying to put it together and edit it. Like I said, I'm not the best at editing videos, so if you have any tips, let your girl know. But yeah, like, just take tons of pictures. You can delete them, the ones that you don't like, and then you'll have stuff to post if you want to do that, which I do. Follow me on Instagram, Natasha 18033. Shameless advertising. But yeah, take lots of pictures. It's fun, and don't worry about what other people think of you, because the pictures are for you and not for them, and they're probably going to be jealous that they don't have cool pictures like you do. Wow, I sound like such a whatever. Anyways, seventh tip. Tip number 7 is spend a week in each place you go to if you can. So recently, when I've been traveling, like the past year or so, I've rarely spent a full week in a city except for Madrid, because I was living in Madrid, and maybe like a couple places along the way. But I usually end up spending like a couple days, maybe 5 days in a city. But being able to spend at least a full week in a city is really different than spending 2 or 3 days there, because in 2 or 3 days you gotta go to the places that are recommended to you. You get to see maybe a couple extra things, kind of get a feel for the city, but you don't really get to experience the hidden gems unless you have someone who's from the city with you showing you around. But if you spend a week, you really get to get a feel for the language, the many different types of foods that are there, the culture, the influences that have come from other cities or different populations that happen to live in the city. And yeah, it's kind of like you can say you lived there for a little while. So definitely, if you do get the chance, spend at least a week in a given city. If it's like a big enough city, or even if it's a small city, you might meet cool people. My 8th tip is to travel light if you can. So when I was in Brazil, I was there for 3 weeks, and I took a carry-on suitcase. It was actually, I have it right here, I'll show you. So this is the suitcase that I took, if you can see it. I took that, and I took a backpack, and that's all for 3 weeks. And yes, like, it was a little difficult packing light. I like shoes and clothes, and shoes end up taking up more space than other things. But if you can and you're traveling a lot, especially if you're touring a country or like a region, like I was in Brazil, I ended up going to 5 cities in 3 weeks, which was kind of a bit. But I was with my friend, and if you're traveling with a friend, you guys can share things. Like, it was nice, like we could share clothes and like toiletries and whatever, which did help, like, not repeating the same outfits. We did laundry quite a bit too. You can always do laundry. Most hostels have like a way of that you can possibly do that, or hotels or wherever you're staying, Airbnbs. And so yeah, try and travel light. It'll be way easier when you are going from city to city. Like, I backpacked Italy by myself for 3 weeks, and I took my hiking backpack, which is 75 liters, which is pretty big for a hiking backpack, and I took like 5 pairs of jeans, and I ended up only wearing 2 probably, and by the end of the trip I could only wear leggings because I gained so much weight because Italy has really good food and ice cream. So yeah, like, pack light, you won't regret it. Just pack smart too. Like, don't leave out things that you use every day and be like, oh, I can live without this for a month, because you use it every day and then probably, like, you should probably just take it. But yes, so do that. And then my 9th tip is learn about a place before you go. So because when I was in Europe living in Spain, I was traveling every single week. I went to 10 countries while I was there, countless cities, and I found that I wasn't really, like, at the beginning I was making sure to do my research on cities or places, things to do, how the culture is, all of that before I went. But then towards the end I got a little lazy, just because I was tired and traveling a lot. But I didn't end up looking into cities as much as I was at the beginning, and I kind of regret it, because it's like, you don't go to these cities all the time, or countries even, or continents. You don't go that often, and it really does make a difference if you try and learn a few words of the language, so you can communicate a bit, and maybe like what food is popular, like what the locals eat, what the tourists eat, whatever, or like their customs or their history or whatever. It really makes you value the experience more, and it makes it more exciting, honestly. So if you can, at least Google a couple things about the city, or maybe ask a friend who's been there or lived there or is from there, what you should do, or what you should, like, keep your eye out for, and things like that, because it really does make a difference. And then my 10th tip is to go, because so many people have told me, they're like, how do you travel? How do you go by yourself to these places? How, like, aren't you scared? Why, like, how do you afford it? Whatever. And honestly, like, at the beginning, like, yes, it is kind of nerve-wracking to travel by yourself, or to just, like, book a flight and go, but once you start doing it, it's so easy, and you start to see the world in this place where it's not like, wow, that place is so far, like, I can't imagine going to Italy by myself. But if you just book the initial flight, that's the hardest part, because once you book the flight, you're committed. Like, you're going whether you like it or not, unless you just miss your flight, which is probably not a good idea considering they're usually, like, expensive. But once you book your flight, then everything falls into place, because then finding a place to stay, like whether it's a hostel or Airbnb or a hotel, or you have friends in the city or whatever that you can stay with, that's easier, because you just need to book it, like, find it and book it, and then once you're there, you have a place to stay. You have, like, make sure you have a place to stay, unless, like, you want to get there and then try and find a place to stay, which isn't that smart if you're in a foreign country by yourself. But if you have a place to stay, then you just need to find things to do and explore, and just you don't need to plan every little thing, but just, like, get out there, meet people, do things, but just go, just book it and do it, and use my other tips to figure it out. But yeah, because once you start doing it, it's way easier. Like, when I went to Italy, I booked my flight, like, 5 days before to Venice, and then from Venice, I knew I was going to go to, I had, like, destinations I wanted to hit. I wasn't sure how many days I was going to spend in each place, but from then on, I just, like, kind of booked trains or buses from one city to the next, and kind of went with the flow and did it, and it was amazing. I met amazing people. I got to eat tons of food, see, like, the most beautiful artwork and sunsets and beaches and whatever. I said eat, but, like, the food was really fucking good. But yeah, so just go and let me know how it goes. But yeah, so I actually, when I was in Brazil, like I said, I filmed a vlog. I'm right now editing it. I'm kind of busy with school and everything, but I'm working on that, so hopefully it will be up soon, and hopefully you guys enjoy these tips and they're useful to you. And if you have any other questions, just let me know down below, as I usually say, or you can message me on Instagram. My Instagrams are, I have two, one for travel, one is my personal one, and it's Natasha18033. I'll put it here, as I usually say. And my other one is NaTravels _, which is here, and I'll have the links down below also. But yeah, just go travel, experience the world, and I'm sure you won't regret it. But thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys, or talk to you guys in the next video. Bye!